On June the 27th, 2015, a large-scale public event was held at Formosa Fun Coast, a water park in New Taipei City, Taiwan. Organised by an outside promoter, the gathering attracted hundreds of attendees, mostly young people, and featured the use of coloured powder as part of the entertainment. The event had received little regulatory oversight, and safety protocols were minimal. What was intended as a fun celebration quickly turned into something straight out of a horror film, leaving 15 dead and hundreds injured. So what happened that day? Let's talk about it. This is the Formosa Water Park fire. Formosa Fun Coast, located in the Bali district of New Taipei City, was once one of Taiwan's most well-known water parks. The park operated primarily during the summer season and featured standard water attractions. It was also known for hosting occasional concerts and large-scale events on dry land within its premises, often organised by outside promoters. In 2015, Formosa Fun Coast was leased to multiple third-party event organisers to generate additional revenue during peak season. One of these was Colour Play Asia, a promotional group behind a series of colour powder parties inspired by colour festivals in India. Their June 27th event, titled Colour Play Asia Party, was held on the park's drained main pool area. It featured electronic dance music, stage performers, and bursts of coloured cornstarch powder sprayed over the crowd using compressed air canisters and handheld devices. In the weeks leading up to the event, neither the park operators nor the event organisers appeared to have conducted adequate risk assessments. There was no clear fire safety plan in place for the type of materials being used. Fire extinguishers were present but limited, and no water sprinklers or protective measures had been installed in the performance area. The cornstarch powder, when suspended in the air in large amounts, was highly flammable, a fact that was well documented in industrial settings, but seemingly overlooked in the context of this party. Despite these risks, the event was approved by local authorities. No major safety objections were raised, and ticket sales went forward without incident. On the surface, it appeared to be just another summer party. Beneath that, however, the conditions were in place for a serious disaster. At around 8:30 PM on June the 27th, 2015, during a peak moment in the evening's entertainment, a large volume of coloured powder was released over the crowd gathered in the drained pool area of the park. The music was loud, the stage lights were flashing, and the powder filled the air in thick clouds. Without warning, a sudden burst of flame erupted near the front of the stage. What followed was fast, disorientating, and devastating. Flames spread almost instantly across the densely packed crowd. In the span of seconds, clothing, hair, and skin caught fire. People screamed and tried to run, but the combination of panic, smoke, and limited space made escape difficult. Some were knocked to the ground and trampled. Others were frozen in place, unable to comprehend what was happening. The fire burned out quickly, but the damage was immediate and severe. One witness described the moment saying, "The fire came too fast and nobody was able to run. Everybody was burned, nobody could save others, and people suffered severe burns." Like he stated, hundreds were left with burns, many of them critical. Skin peeled away, limbs were blackened, and clothing had melted into bodies. The scene was chaotic. People were running, crying for help, whilst others were collapsed and motionless. One student said there was blood everywhere, including in the pool where lots of the injured were soaking themselves for relief from the pain. Park staff and bystanders attempted to assist, but the scale of the injuries far exceeded the resources available on site. First responders began arriving within minutes, but witnesses reported a lack of fire extinguishers, fire blankets, or emergency medical stations in the area. Many of the injured were used moving anything available: inflatable tubes, plastic loungers, and even bare hands. There were not enough ambulances, so taxis, private cars, and scooters were used to transport victims to hospital across northern Taiwan. A New Taipei City Fire Department officially later noted that more than 1,200 emergency personnel were mobilised, including firefighters, paramedics, police, and military support. Over 40 hospitals received patients, many of them ill-equipped to handle large-scale burn trauma. Several facilities ran out of beds, and some resorted to placing victims in bathtubs, wrapping them in sterile plastic. or using temporary foam padding to keep burn surfaces from sticking to fabric. Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare activated emergency coordination protocols to manage the distribution of patients, and supply chains were rapidly redirected to ensure enough IV fluids, skin grafting materials, and pain management medication reached the most critical cases. One hospital director described it as the largest mass burn incident Taiwan has ever faced. Within an hour, images and videos of the incident were circulating online. A mass casualty event had unfolded in real time in front of hundreds of witnesses. The night celebration had ended in one of the most serious public disasters in Taiwan's recent memory. In the days following the disaster, attention quickly shifted from the chaos of the scene to questions of accountability. How had such a large-scale event been approved with so few safety precautions? Who was responsible for the materials used, and why had the risks gone unnoticed? As victims filled hospital beds and families waited for updates, investigators began piecing together how a night of entertainment turned into a national tragedy. More than 500 people were injured in the fire, with 15 ultimately dying from their burns, some after months in intensive care. Most of the victims were young, in their teens or early 20s, attending what they thought was a harmless event. Many suffered burns over 40 to 90% of their body, requiring dozens of surgeries and prolonged rehabilitation. The investigation into the fire began immediately, led by new Taipei City authorities in coordination with national agencies. Preliminary findings identified the coloured powder used at the event, cornstarch, as the primary factor. This cornstarch created a suspended dust cloud that ignited upon contact with stage lights. A new Taipei City Fire Department task force concluded that the 200-watt beam lights had surfaces over 400 degrees Celsius, hot enough to set the powder alight. The official inquiry also ruled out other ignition sources, such as lighted cigarettes, as they did not reach sufficient heat to start the blaze. Approximately 3 tons of cornstarch had been sprayed into the area, creating all the conditions necessary for an explosion. Organisers had neither permits for combustible materials nor consulted fire experts. Colourplay Asia and its staff were charged with negligence. Founder Lu Chung-chi was sentenced to 4 years and 10 months in prison, but that wasn't all. At least 5 people connected to the event, including event staff and powder technicians, were detained and faced charges. In the aftermath, Taiwan banned the use of powder at all private events, revoked the park's license, and launched a sweeping review of safety inspections. Survivors faced long, painful recoveries. Many underwent multiple grafts and rehabilitation. One CNN report detailed how reconstructive teams worked around the clock, redistributing skin from national banks to cope, and over $30 million was raised for the victims. Compensation was also distributed to the families affected. Like many disasters I have covered on this channel over the years, this fire was not just a tragic incident, but the result of severe systemic failures and safety oversight. What began as a night of music and lights turned into one of the worst mass casualty incidents in Taiwan's history, leaving hundreds scarred, both physically and emotionally. Survivors continue to carry the weight of that night, many traumatized for life. A truly horrific case that could have been prevented. I hope everyone involved is managing to do better today if possible. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work, subscribe, and if you want to go the extra step to support the channel, maybe consider becoming a member. Let me know what you thought about this case in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.